So I love these little surfaces. These are what we're going to be working with today. And the very first thing I'm going to do in our workshop is to paint. I like to get the painting kind of done and out of the way. So let me show you what paint I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using Country Chic Chalk Paint. I love their chalk paints. They are my favorite. We sell them here at my store and studio in Richland Hills, the Little Blue House. And the reason that I love these paints is, first off, I love a chalk finish. I like that texture. I like that it's so easy. You don't have to be a professional painter for this type of paint to look good on your pieces. So even though a lot of times people think this is just for furniture refinishing, it's really not. You can use it on any kind of surface, and it's fabulous. The other reason that I love this paint, we carry what's called the all-in-one, okay? It's called all-in-one because it has a sealer already built in. So that means within about 48 hours, once the paint is cured, it's also sealed, so it's weatherproof. I love that it has the sealer built in, saves me a whole nother step, so it's okay to be outside. It's weatherized, all of those things. So love these paints. So these are the colors I'm going to be using. This color is called Cheesecake. I'm going to show it to you. I have it in a bowl here. This color is called Cheesecake. This color is called Simplicity, and on camera they may look very similar, but Simplicity is a pure white, whereas Cheesecake, well, with the glare, with the lights in here, it's going to look white, but it's actually a really beautiful warm cream. It actually looks just like cheesecake, like yummy. Yeah, like yummy, just like cheesecake. The other paint I'm going to be using today is just some plain acrylic paint. This is from Decor Art Americana. It's called Spiced Pumpkin, but any kind of orange craft paint, I'm going to be doing a little technique with that as well, just a little bit of a wash, okay? And of course, I'll be using some Mod Podge Matte. That is my medium of choice today for applying all of the napkins on the surfaces that I'm using. Now, in napkinizing, there are certain surfaces that need different types of mediums, and that's one of the things that we teach in the Napkin Club, so that you can learn exactly kind of like what works best. What works best? What's the best medium to put napkins to glass? What's the best medium to put napkins to metal, to wood, to all the different surfaces? So if you would like to have more information about the Napkin Club, I am happy to give you that link. I think Kristen is out here, but she's actually waiting on customers as well. So she'll probably post a link to the Napkin Club here in a bit. If not, you can go to our website, thelittlebluehouseonline.com. and just put in the little search box, the Napkin Club. It'll come right up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start painting. I'm going to be painting, actually, I'm going to start with the house block. I'm going to be putting Simplicity, which is a pure white coat, on the house block. One thing you need to know about napkinizing, and I'm going to assume, I know a lot of you that are watching are already club members, and you've done napkin art and repurposing napkins with me before, but I'm going to assume that some of you have not, okay? So I want you to know why I'm painting this. Napkins, when we take the plies off of the napkin, and we have to take the plies off the napkin because all we're going to be using is the very top tissue. And when you use the top tissue, it's very sheer. It's very sheer. So like this little knot right here in the wood, that would show completely through the napkin, right? So sometimes you want things to show through the napkin, and sometimes you don't. So, you know, it's just important. I like, for this particular project, for my little house project here, I really want the napkin to be front and center, star of the show. So I'm gonna paint over this. And by painting a light color, this is the Simplicity, it's going to be almost like a spotlight just shining right through this napkin. It's going to keep the napkin very pure, and it's just going to look amazing. So I am just doing a quick coat. Look at the coverage too, girls. That's the other thing about chalk paints, the Country Chic paints. Man, you get such good coverage, so you don't have to do like multiple coats. Just really get a good coverage. The other thing that I would recommend that you have handy, especially if you're crafting along with me today, is your heat tool. Heat tool is great for just drying the paint. kind of moving things along a little faster. In fact, I'm going to lay this down. And yeah, if you can paint and not get paint on your hands, then you're doing something wrong. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We just started painting. In fact, while that side dries, I'm going to go ahead and keep painting. This is the other thing that I'm going to be painting. This is the wood block. Okay, we're going to be doing a special technique to this. So I'm actually going to be painting this also. But I'm going to paint this one with the cheesecake, which is the creamier color of the two. I'll do my best to watch for your questions today. And thank you again. I'm not sure who submitted the stars, but thank you so much for that. That is awesome. So this one just has a creamier look to it. And again, on camera, I'm not sure that you can see the difference. Very pretty and creamy. Looks just like cheesecake. So where is everybody watching from? I'd be curious to know where you're watching from. Good morning, Helen. Hello. And not even just where, but like, are you on your back porch? Are you sitting in your favorite chair drinking coffee? That's one great thing about online is you can watch them from anywhere. Some of you might be still in your PJ pants. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just dry these up a little bit. I like to get the messy stuff out of the way first, so I like to get all the painting done first. Hi, Martha from Tennessee. Awesome. Somebody's watching from Mountain Lake. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Alabama. Oh, it's your first time watching? Great. From your craft room in Arizona. Awesome. Kitchen table, working on a quilt. That's awesome, Christy. I love fabric too. I have a fabric fan club because I love fabric too. Basically what I am, girls, is I like to call myself a Jill of all trades. I like it all. I'm a maker. I like to make things. I like to do all kinds of things with all types of mediums, and I just love it all. Making things just makes me happy. Does it make y'all happy too? Just such a stress relief, and it's just fun. Okay, I think these two are dry enough, or at least the house is for sure, is dry enough for me to put the coat on this side. And again, these don't have to be, we're going to be covering them up, so they don't have to be super perfect. And you get such good coverage with the paint that one coat is going to be plenty. Good morning, Barbara. Okay, let's put this coat on here. And then I just have one more thing to paint. And it's going to be the pumpkin. I want my pumpkin to be creamy today. I don't want it to be super orange. Because I'm actually going to turn the wood block and the canvas into pumpkins today. And they're going to be orange. So I know it seems kind of funny. Like, okay, so the orange pumpkin I'm turning creamy white, like cheesecake. And then the canvas and the wood block are going to get turned orange to become pumpkins. Just how the creative mind works sometimes. Okay, so let me pull these little guys because I like this pumpkin because he has this cute little stem on him and this cute little leaf. And I'm gonna probably not paint this one quite as thick because I'm okay with a little bit of the orange shows through. I think that would be really cute. So let me just swipe some paint on him. It's almost like I'm kind of brushing the paint on, but then I'm going to take the brush back over it and take off a little bit. And he's probably going to have to just do like a coat at a time. See how pretty? Do you see how the brush strokes? I'm just going to let some of that come off. So just kind of with my brush being dry, not having a lot of paint on it, I'm just going to go back over it just to kind of spread that paint and thin it out a little bit. So I have these kind of little streaks, just a little, a tinge, I guess, of orange showing through. And that may be hard to see on camera. So let me dry this side real quick so I can do the other side. Hello, Kathy and John. Awesome, we got a lot of people watching this morning. That's great. I'm so excited to share these projects with you. They're super cute. And fall is one of my all-time favorites to decorate for. I don't know what it is. I love the colors. I just love the colors of fall. I like the coziness of fall. I don't know. I just love it. Okay, so let me turn this over. How about y'all? Do y'all like decorating for fall? So girls, while you're watching me paint, this would be a great time for you to sprinkle this video out. I would love it if you would sprinkle this out to your family and friends and anybody that you think, share it with anybody that you think would love to, that loves to craft and wants to see what napkin art is all about. So I'm going to kind of hold that up. Do you see how it's just kind of hit or miss in spots? There's a little bit of the orange kind of showing through. I like that. I think that looks really good. You could even take off a little bit more in places if you wanted to, but I think that's going to do it for me. I've just got a little bit of that showing through. Thank you so much. Thank you for sprinkling. That's awesome. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little giveaway. And here's what I'm going to give away today, because I know that these have been very, very hard to find. So everybody that sprinkles out the video today, I'm going to go back through after the live and I'm going to choose 3 people that have sprinkled, and I'm going to send you a mini cutting board, because I know these have been hard to find and I picked up some extras. So 3 lucky sprinklers, okay, today are going to get a cutting board from me. All right, so make sure and sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay, I just want to make sure that is dry enough on the bottom for me to sit that down. And I think these guys are pretty dry. Before we move on to the next step. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people that would want to win those little mini cutting boards. They're just adorable. They're so cute. Okay, that feels pretty dry. All right, girls, I think our painting is done. So let's just kind of review what we did. I did cheesecake, chalk paint, the cheesecake on the pumpkin, kind of hit or miss, just so some of that orange kind of shows through. I like how that looks, gives it some texture. And then cheesecake on the 4x6 wood block, okay? and then Simplicity, which is the pure white, on the house block, okay? And that's all that is going to get painted with those colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my hands here just a bit. Thank you so much for sprinkling. Y'all are awesome. I don't want to transfer any paint onto my napkins and stuff, so let me just clean up my hands here real quick. I'm a mess. I'm kind of a messy painter. I'm kind of a messy everything, but that's part of the fun, right? Okay, that should be good enough. So the first project I want to start on today is actually going to be the house block. I love the house block. I'm going to show it to you finished here real quick. Isn't it adorable? So this little house block is actually a house that's in a series of houses that we're doing. We started with one that's called Just Good to Be Home, and that's what it says on it. And then we did a spooky house for Halloween. This is our fall house. So this actually is one thing that we're selling as a kit. So you could actually order our fall house because it's part of our series as a kit. It's called the Give Thanks DIY Decor Kit, and everything comes with it. So the block, the napkin, all of the jute, all the little fun, you know, the acorn, the little leaves, all of everything comes with that, okay? And those are available to pre-order for anybody that wants to do that. And I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to make that. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to napkinize it, okay? Can everybody see okay? If you have trouble seeing and you're watching on your phone, I'm going to try to angle this down just a little bit more. Sorry. Oh, more stars. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are so great. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to angle this down. If the comments are in the way, you can just kind of swipe them. Just swipe to the right or the left. If you're watching from your phone, it'll move them out of the way. So this is my Give Thanks napkin. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle crease here. Okay, now the reason that I'm not cutting it into fourths is because the house is a little bit taller, okay, than a quarter panel of the napkin. So I need to lay this out here, and I'm gonna lay this down onto the block. I wanna make sure that I have Give Thanks kinda centered here. Give thanks, be grateful. Okay, so once I have it where I want it, I'm taking my fingers and I'm creasing along the edges of the block. Okay, along all the edges here. Okay, right along here, along the sides. This side I have butted right up at the end. And you'll be able to see these really well, your creases, and then you're gonna go in and cut them. Now these edges right here, I could have just sanded them off, but since I creased the other sides, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the whole thing. I'll still be doing some sanding because there'll still be a little bit of an edge hanging over. But this way, I was able to capture kind of this other part of the napkin up here so that I have this pretty print going all the way up and I don't just have it like it cutting off, okay? Now save this because you may want to use this for something else later. And I'm going to actually do this twice because I'm going to, because I kind of arranged my things on, what should we call it, levels, especially if it's going to go on a tier tray or something like that, I want it to look just as pretty from the back as it does from the front, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, where's the other side to that? That's the full one. I must have stuck it over here. Oh, no, I didn't. Or did I? Oh, here it is, girls. Sorry. I have multiple napkins here. Okay, here's the section. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of fold it, make sure it's right where you want it to be, and then just crease it. Now this is all the layers together, okay? I don't ever separate the napkins until after I've cut them, because they are so much easier to separate after they've been cut. Put that to the side. We'll use that for something else later. And don't worry, you don't have to cut it like super great, because we're gonna go back in and sand off the edges anyway. Okay, so now I have my two sides for the house, right? So the next thing I'm gonna do is sorry, I'm gonna adjust this just a bit. I'm going to adjust sorry, that was about my camera. I'm going to separate the napkin plies, okay? So this is my method. I call it the lick and stick method. It works for me. It works for hundreds and thousands of other people out there that I've shared this with. And it's really simple. You're gonna take your finger and you're gonna just pop it on your tongue just for a second and do like this. And what happens is we're gonna wait and let this get just a little bit dry, almost kind of sticky, and then watch what happens. Look at that. It just starts peeling them off. Now these napkins are all 3-ply, okay? That means there's 3 layers. So I have another layer that I have to take off. Voila. Now it's not always that easy. Sometimes if you get a stubborn layer that you're having a hard time getting off, I'll just use like a straight pin or something to kind of help me with that. To kind of pick at a corner to get it off. And then always make sure you're trying to separate it somewhere where it's not embossed. Like the edges around the napkins, that's where it's a bit embossed, where it's been all the layers are pressed together. So it's so much easier to separate the napkin when you're not doing it on an embossed edge, okay? Really super simple. You can also use like washi tape if you want to, but you know, my fingers are great. I always know where they are. They're great tools. Okay, so now I have that top tissue. It's very, very, very thin. So I'm going to be using Mod Podge. And in fact, let me move my paint. I'm going to move my paint out of the way, because Mod Podge can look very similar to the white Simplicity. I'm not speaking from experience, but there have been times, there has been a time when I accidentally dipped into the wrong little bowl or little plate. So I moved the paint out of the way. So now my little bowl has Mod Podge Matte in it. I prefer matte with the yellow label. And I know that there are all kinds of Mod Podge out there. There's Mod Podge for paper, there's all the things. But I don't like the Mod Podge for paper, and I don't like the Mod Podge Glossy. I don't like those, either one of those. The Mod Podge for paper I feel like has just been kind of watered down. It's too diluted. The Glossy Mod Podge I feel like always stays sticky. Like even 6 months later I can touch a piece that has it on it and it still feels sticky. So for me, this is the one, Mod Podge Matte, okay? And it works great. So I'm going to get a clean brush here, just a regular paintbrush that I'm gonna apply the Mod Podge on. And then the other brush I want you to have on hand is going to be one of these. Let me just show you these. These are new ones. My other ones have gotten pretty old. These are called chip brushes. They are a natural bristle brush, so the bristles are a little bit sturdier, okay? And I like to use these to pounce on the napkin. We sell these at the Blue House, but y'all, you can find these anywhere. Any of your home improvement stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, you know, places like that. Walmart, Hobby Lobby, you know, all the places. They're very inexpensive. I think this one's 75 cents. This one's like 95 cents. But they are great for napkinizing. Very important to have a brush like this. So I'm going to take my just plain paintbrush. I'm going to dip into the Mod Podge. And I'm going to paint on a nice little coat of Mod Podge over the front of my house. Okay. Nice little coat here. So you don't want it to be like overflowing drippy, but you definitely don't want it to be super thin because Mod Podge can dry really quickly. So just a nice, what I call a healthy coat. And now I'm going to just lay my napkin tissue right here on top of it. Now your first instinct is going to be to smooth, but don't do that. This tissue is very fragile. So notice I'm just lightly kind of patting with my fingers just to kind of hold it in place. And now I'm going to take the pounce brush. This is clean. There is nothing on it, nothing at all. I'm going to take it and I'm going to pounce, and I'm going to go straight up and down, up and down. You can use quite a bit of force because we are really smushing down all, we want it to really push that napkin tissue down into the grain of the wood. If you realize that you didn't get quite enough, like I can tell down on this, for some reason, corners, I never get quite enough on the corners. So if you need to add a little bit more, if you see that a corner is coming up, you can add a little bit more. And just pounce, pounce, pounce. Okay, and look how gorgeous that is. It looks like it was imprinted right onto the wood. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to dry this just a second so that I can go ahead and napkinize on the other side as well. You also want to make sure that it's really dry before you sand the edges, okay? Everybody doing okay? I'll try to watch for your questions as they come up. We have almost 300 people watching. That's amazing. Thank y'all so much for sharing your time with me today. I appreciate that. Okay, so once that is dry, I'm going to just take a little piece of, you could take a little piece of sandpaper, you could take a foam sanding block, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to scoot back a little bit here. And I'm just going to sand off everything, any kind of part of the napkin that's hanging off the edges. And there's just a little bit hanging off. I want to get rid of that. But make sure you don't do this step until it is completely dry. That's why I like my heat gun. It speeds things along. I'm a pretty impatient crafter. Okay, so I've sanded all the edges off. Now I'm just going to lay it down. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Nice, healthy coat of Mod Podge here. I'm going to try to be more careful about my corners this time. And I'm going to lay my napkin tissue on. And then just simply just pat just a little bit. Now you may get some wrinkles. A lot of times just pouncing will kind of push all those wrinkles down into your surface. But if you do get a wrinkle or two here or there, don't worry about it. It just adds texture, okay? We don't want any air bubbles. We don't want anything like that. That's why you're really, really pushing, pouncing, really pushing that down into and going up and down. Make sure go up and down. Don't do a brush stroke like that because it could tear. That looks great. Sorry, I've got a bristle. I got a bristle right there. Let's see if I can lift him up. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna dry it just a second. It won't take any time at all to dry because that tissue again is so sheer. I'm just going to sand off the excess. I like using a foam sanding block just because it's just more comfortable in my hands. It's just foam and it has sanding grit on each side. But you can use a small piece of sandpaper as well. All right, and we are done. Isn't that just the cutest? I think it looks so great. Oh, you like my shirt? I can give you a link for that. I'm part of a T-shirt of the month club with Sarah Williams, and this was our T-shirt that we were given this month. Isn't it cute? I think it's just darling. It has all kinds of words all over the pumpkin. It's really cute. So I thought it would be fall inspired today since we were doing fall projects. All right, isn't that darling? So the next thing I'm going to do on him is I'm going to work on wrapping him. And I want to show you what I'm going to be using for that. This is a 4-ply jute. Okay, so y'all know jute comes in different plies as well, which just means layers, strands. So this one is 4-ply. It's a little bit thicker. Most of the time when you see me using jute, I'm using like a 3-ply. It's a little thinner. We're going to use that too. But to wrap the house, I'm going to be using this thicker 4-ply jute. Okay. If you purchase the actual kit for this, the DIY decor kit for this, all of this will be in your kit. Okay. So I'm going to grab my glue gun now. We're going to be doing some glue gunning because I think that this looks amazing wrapped. And to me, fall is all about textures and just all the things. So I'm going to start with a line of glue right kind of along the edge of the block there. I don't even know if that's going to show up on camera. And I'm going to take my jute here and I'm going to lay it right down into that line of hot glue. Now this is one thing, when you're wrapping your house, it's important to start here at the bottom edge. We're going to wrap the whole thing, but we don't want it to be wonky. We want it to still stand nice and straight. So don't wrap this around to the bottom. Have it be right flush with the edge. Okay, just right flush with the edge. Thank you again for the stars. Y'all are so awesome. Y'all are being so sweet to me. And then I'm gonna go do another line of glue along the roof, another line of glue up and down the roof. And I'm just going to start layering this on. I love the texture. I do this on chunky canvases too, where I just wrap and wrap and wrap. And I just think it looks so good. And they still stand fine because you're wrapping the whole entire thing. And I can usually do about two edges at a time. Just push it right down into the glue. Perfect. Don't worry about glue hairs. We're going to make those disappear here in a minute. And then I'm going to come up and do a whole nother row. And because you're using the 4-ply jute, it's a little thicker. So you don't have to go around it as many times. And I'm just going to wrap it around and around and around and around. So y'all tell me, have you ever wrapped anything like this? Hello, Rachel from Indiana. Nice to have you watching. I love jute. So if this were a canvas, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd just be wrapping around and around and around. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but if you have to pop off of this live, I don't want you to worry. We're going to save it here on my page. So that way I like to glue my glue sticks together. So when there's a glue stick, when I need to put in another one, I put a little drop of hot glue on the end and I glue it to the one behind. I just glue it down so it grabs, because I hate it when the glue sticks plop out of the gun. Drives me crazy. So there will be a replay for this. So if some of you want to purchase the Give Thanks napkins, and if you want to pre-order some of the wood pieces, the wood blocks, the house, you know, any of those things, the kits, you can do that. And then you can always go back and watch the replay when you get ready to make your items. I know some of you are crafting along with me today because you came and got all your stuff ahead of time. I have a supply list too that's posted on my page. I'm just going to keep going around. You like this idea, Kathy? Isn't it cute? And it's easy. It's not hard at all. It's easy. It just adds such great texture to something otherwise that would have been flat. Now, if you don't want to wrap it, you could use, do ribbon maybe. You could do ribbon around the edges. You could even napkinize the edges with a different fall napkin, something like that. Okay, so Suzanne says, to purchase the kits, supplies, etc., do you have to belong to the Napkin Club? No, you don't. For these projects, you don't have to be. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing the class, because I want you to see the types of things that we do in the Napkin Club. We do all kinds of surfaces and projects, and you're not only learning, we're not just slapping napkins on things. You're learning all kinds of techniques, and sometimes they're painting techniques or distressing techniques. You know, we've even done vinyl techniques. I mean, we just all kinds of things that you'll learn in conjunction with using those techniques with your napkins. So it's really a lot of fun. In fact, if you are a member of the club, if you're in the Napkin Club right now and you're watching, I want you to type in a comment, something that you love about the Napkin Club. Type in, just share something that you have really enjoyed about being a member in the Napkin Club. We have the best group, and they are amazing women. They are so creative, and they just run with the techniques that I show them, and they've made some of the most awesome projects. It's just amazing. And we have our own private Facebook community. We have our own hangout on Facebook. So that's where I share the workshops live. And that's where everybody that's in the community, they share pictures of their projects, and we just have a great time. We have a great time together. All right, I'm almost making my way around. Thank you, girls. That's my favorite thing. I just love showing you new techniques and, you know, just helping you kind of think outside the box when it comes to being creative. I'm gonna have to load in another glue stick here. Okay, I'm almost done. It looks so good. Aw, thank you, girls. I love seeing your comments. I love how everyone shares too. That is probably my favorite thing. I mean, of course, my job, I'm there to hopefully inspire you. But I'm telling you, the girls inspire me because they just do such amazing things with the different techniques that I show. It's just such a great group. And I'll have to tell you, probably one of my favorite things about the group is that I get to shop for all the napkins. I love I really, really go out of my way to try to find really unique, one-of-a-kind napkins. And that, of course, saves us all a lot of time and money because you're not having to buy a whole pack. You know, you're not having to buy a package of 40 of the same napkin. You're getting, you know, all different napkins. And of course you're getting a lot of napkins because once you unfold them, you have the image typically 4 times. So it's been great. And then also another perk, if you're a Napkin Club member, is if you do fall in love with a certain napkin and you're just like, you really want to have more of it, you want to create more with it, we allow the Napkin Club members to go in and purchase additional napkins at a really reduced rate, a really reduced price, in case they want to create multiples of things. Okay, I'm at the end. Okay, so once you get to the end, same thing. I'm just going to cut this off right at the edge. And I usually cut it off kind of at an angle. And then I'm just going to put in just a little, just basically dragging my glue gun. I'm not really using any glue. Just kind of dragging my glue gun over that edge. Actually, I'm going to have to put a little bit more just to seal that edge. Oh my gosh, look how cute, right? Isn't that just awesome? I think it looks great. And look, it's going to stand just fine because you wrapped it all with the same jute. It's not wonky, it's not wobbly, anything like that. Isn't that darling? I think it looks super cute. Okay, so I mentioned about the glue hairs. This is how you can get rid of glue hairs, and it's quite easy. It's just your heat tool. Even your blow dryer on its highest, hottest setting, it just melts the glue hairs away. So if there's any little glue spots, little glue hairs, just hold your heat tool real close and just take it around, and they just evaporate. It just kind of melts them. They just evaporate. So you're not picking at it, you know, you're not having to pick at it, all the things. Perfect. And it's just all gone. Love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish him off. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this. This is a 3-ply jute. So this is a little bit thinner jute, 3-ply jute. And I'm going to create a bow with this without actually tying a knot in this. I'm going to have this strand, and I'm also going to have a little bit of this baker's twine. Okay? So let me show you how I make this bow. It's really fun and really simple. So I have my strand of jute. I'm going to kind of just lay this in my hand, okay, and kind of create a loop, and then another loop, and then another loop, and another loop. So what happens is it kind of starts looking like a figure 8, okay? So let's do it again. I have a loop, I have another loop, one more loop, and another loop. So it winds up looking like that, okay? Just like that. Now I'm gonna take my twine and I'm gonna tie it in the center of these loops. So let me hold it down here. And I'm gonna tie it in a double knot. Okay, so I just tied it around the loops. Isn't that cute? Just makes the cutest little bow, because it's very hard sometimes to make like a double bow with something that's thick, and then the middle knot gets really big and chunky, and I don't know. So I like it just like this. And then I'm gonna take and tie a little knot in the tail of each of the pieces of the jute here. Okay, just like that. And then I like to unravel the ends so it looks kind of like a tassel. So I'm going to unravel the ends here on both of them, kind of fluff that up like a tassel. Now I'm going to glue this kind of right here on my house. I'm just going to take a little bit of glue, myself a little blob there, and I'm just going to hold this down for a second on this part of the roof of my house. Okay? Isn't that cute? Now if he's, like this guy's kind of like, he's kind of sticking up a little bit. He'll probably relax some, but if he doesn't relax, I will put a little drop of glue underneath him. Okay, so now I'm going to take the twine and I'm going to create a bow. Okay, so I'm just making a little twine bow now in the center of that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the tails here. I'm going to tie a little knot in the end of them, and I'm going to snip these down a little shorter. Unwind that. Isn't that so cute? Now we're going to make it look even a little bit cuter, okay? Because I want to put an acorn on here and some leaves. So in the kit you'll have I think it's 3 leaves, 3 of these little leaves like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the acorn on first. And that might seem unusual, but by having the acorn on here first, I'm just going to put some glue, hot glue, kind of behind the acorn. It's going to kind of go right in the center of the bow. It's going to give me a surface to be able to kind of glue these little leaves to, okay? So there's my acorn. Super cute. Thank y'all so much for saying all the sweet things about the Napkin Club. That just makes my day. I can't wait to go back and read all of the messages. I can only see so many. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to put one little leaf kind of behind, because remember I want him to look cute from both sides, right? So I'm putting one little leaf behind. And then these other 2 leaves, I'm going to kind of glue them almost to the back of the, oops, I did the wrong side on that one. Woo, let me peel that off real quick. Kind of to the back side of the acorn here. Isn't that cute? So a couple on the back, and then these on this side, right? A couple to the back of the acorn, and then one on this side. And that way it looks cute kind of from both sides. And then if you had something else, if you have like some little, I don't know, little berry kind of stuff, or, you know, anything in your stash, if you want to add anything else to this project, you know, you could. I have a feeling you probably got some stuff like this in your stash. Okay, isn't it cute? I think it's adorable. And that is the house kit. So let me show you on this one. So the acorns, sometimes they're going to look different. Okay, they can look different. You can paint them out if you wanted to paint them out a different color. But aren't they cute? And they look good from both sides. I just think they're absolutely adorable. So, so fun. Isn't it fun? Yay! Thank you, Dawn, for sprinkling. Thank you, girls. All right, so acorns, where can you find them? Well, you might even have some in your yard. You can actually use real acorns and you can paint them, and you can, if you Mod Podge over the paint, Mod Podge over them, that helps to preserve them, or you can spray seal them. Or you might have some at your local craft stores, you know, they're everywhere right now because it's fall. And then, like I said, if you decide to get the DIY decor kit, all of that would be in it, okay? Everything would be in it for you. So I'm going to move on. Oh, you know what? I did not do a top coat of Mod Podge, and I should. You're right. Thank you for catching me, Paula. I'm just in a hurry to move on. That's part of being the impatient crafter. Okay, we do need to seal the napkin. And typically, I should have sealed this probably before I even wrapped it, but it's okay. I can do it right here. I'm just going to put a light, thin coat of Mod Podge on top of this napkin, because that's going to protect it. It's going to seal it. It's going to protect it. You'll be able to clean it better if for some reason you need to clean it. If little, you know, I have twin grandsons that are little toddlers. So if one of them happens to pick it up with his little, you know, grimy hands or something, I can come in and clean it up really easily. So it is important to put the top coat on. Thank you so much for catching me on that. I'm getting in too big a hurry. I just need to chill. Okay, so now that top coat is on, it's gonna dry. It's gonna go on kind of milky, but it's gonna dry crystal clear. Thank you, Paula. Okay, so I'm gonna put that back over here on our little stand, and while that is drying, I'm gonna move on to our palette sign project, okay? I'm moving on to our palette sign project. So this is really fun because with palette signs, I don't want to just put the napkin on it. I want to still see the slats. I want to see the slats coming through the sign. So this is what we're going to make. We're going to do the turkey on here. And I'm going to show you my way of kind of dealing with the slats. Okay? So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and grab, now this guy is already whitewashed, so I don't need to paint him. I don't need to do anything to him at all. I like the grain on the wood. I like all of that, so there's nothing I need to do. These guys come with a little hanger, but you can take these off. And the other thing that's cool about these is, look, this is just on here just for merchandising. You can take that off as well. But you've got this nice little shadow box effect, right? So you could put something else in here if you wanted to make it look cute from both sides. I just think that would be so much fun. It could even be a photo of your family. It could be another napkin in there. It could be something dimensional, like this little pumpkin is a wood slice that I put a napkin on, and then just added some fun little embellishments. So you could just sit a little pumpkin or something in there. Be really cute. Okay, so we only need one turkey for this. So let me cut my napkin here. This is a really fast project. I'm gonna have to clean my fingers off again. I've got some glue on them. They're sticking to the napkin. Let me get a baby wipe and clean my fingers off. You like the ideas, Christy? Awesome, thank you. And y'all keep sprinkling. In case you just signed on, everybody that sprinkles today, I'm going to go in and randomly draw 3 names, and 3 of you are going to get a mini cutting board from me. Okay? So keep sprinkling. Okay, so I'm going to separate this napkin again, right? Lick and stick. This backing came off almost without me doing anything. And then let's get this layer off. There we go. Second layer is always a little tougher, so we've got to get that off. If you don't get them off, what happens is when you go to decoupage them on your surface, the top starts to lift and separate off, and it just turns into a muckety mess. So don't ever skip those steps, okay? Okay, so I have my pretty little turkey napkin here, which I absolutely love. And I have my palette sign, okay, which is already whitewashed. What if it wasn't? What if this was just like a dark wood? If this was dark wood, I would have you just dry brush some paint over it, okay, because we really want our turkey to stand out. If it was dark wood, it would show through this and you wouldn't really be able to see the turkey much at all, okay? So this is what I'm going to do when you have to deal with slats like this. First off, I'm not going to measure the slat. Okay, I have found with I've done all kinds of sign making and different things with palette signs. The slats are not always exactly the same on each end. Like they can change. They're very rustic. They're very just kind of, they are what they are. Okay, so I don't want you to try to measure them because it never comes out right. It just never does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my turkey on here to where, and this napkin's going to be just slightly larger than the palette sign. So I'm going to lay it exactly where I want it to go, okay? And then I'm gonna fold it and I'm gonna make a crease. I'm actually gonna cut this napkin into 3 pieces, like a puzzle, okay? And then put it back together. So I'm going to fold this upward to where I can see that valley, the little valley between the slats, okay? I want to see that. I want this to still look like palette sign slats, okay? So I'm gonna crease it right there, and I'm gonna cut this part. I'm gonna cut right along this crease. Very carefully along this crease. Decapitating my turkey. Okay, all right, right along the crease. And now I'm gonna lay this part again right below where you see I'm gonna call it the valley, where the 2 slats meet, okay? I'm gonna put it just slightly below that. And then I'm gonna fold up this edge. Same thing, I want to see that valley between the slats, that little area between the slats. Fold it, and I'm going to cut it. Sometimes your slat boards will be far enough apart that you can put the whole napkin on and then take like a craft knife and slit between it, but these are pretty tight. These are pretty tight, and I'm afraid if I put the whole napkin on, I won't be able to see exactly where the slats meet, and I might have trouble cutting them, okay? So now I have this piece. So now I have my 3 pieces here, and I'm going to put them on just like a puzzle. I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm gonna apply the Mod Podge. Now, Mod Podge and wood are a little bit different. Mod Podge and wood, what happens is the wood likes to soak up the Mod Podge. So you're gonna put on a little bit heavier coat, okay? A little heavier coat on wood because it's gonna try to really soak up the Mod Podge. And now I'm gonna take my first layer, and again, I wanna be careful that I still see that edge. Okay, I'm gonna really lightly just pat, and I'm gonna go back with my pounce brush, right? The natural bristle brush, it's clean, nothing on it. And I'm going to pounce up and down, up and down, up and down. This has a lot of texture, this wood has a lot of texture in it. So I want to pounce this napkin into all of that grain and texture of the wood. I want to see it coming through the napkin. Don't worry about the sides. We're going to sand those off. Okay. Do you see what I mean? It just looks like it's part of the wood. And do you see how about the edge, how I'm just slightly above that edge? Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing now with these. We have been carrying these. We ordered these from Hampton Art. And right now we are waiting on another order to come in. We have ordered quite a few of these. But there are palette signs like this in lots of places. I mean, it's such a popular thing right now. Whether yours is like a frame like this one or even just a sign, there are lots of them out there. Okay, so again on this one, I'm going to be a little carefuler with this middle piece. Gotta make sure it's lined up on both sides, because again, it's like a puzzle, and I have this kind of ornate frame happening kind of around the turkey. So I want to make sure those line up exactly. And then I'm going to go in and pounce up and down, up and down. We have a sign that we're going to be making in the Napkin Club coming up. Oh, it's not next week. I think it might be the week after that. And it is a beautiful, it's a long sign. And we're going to be using the Christmas truck. Let me show you the Christmas truck real quick. we're going to be using this cute Merry Christmas truck. Look how cute that is. That's one of the napkins in the bundle. So if you sign up for the Napkin Club, this is the bundle that you'll get. Isn't that cute? He's so cute. So we're going to be doing something really special with him. He says Merry, but then we're going to do something special to add the word Christmas. So it'll be a Merry Christmas sign. And I have pre-ordered a bunch of those signs, so I'll have plenty to share with my club members. All right, so last piece of the puzzle here. Okay, again, I want to make sure I'm going kind of under. Still lined up. Very gently. And come in and pounce. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and dry the top of this really quickly. Because I wanted to show you something. I'm going to sand off the edges now that it's dry. But if you feel like you kind of crossed over into one of those valleys, I have a craft knife here. You can always just take your craft knife, or if you get like too much Mod Podge or something kind of down in there, you can always take your craft knife to kind of clean out those areas, because we really still want it to look like a sign. And I'm going to sand off the edges. Okay, so I wanted to show you something here really quick. All right, so do you see how now it looks like it's part of the wood? I mean, I have the slats show through, so everything, it really looks like part of the wood. And this is something else I like to do, because I kind of like a shabby kind of finish. I just think it looks really pretty, distressed finish. So after I have sanded off the edges, I'm going to take my sanding block, or you can take just a little piece of sandpaper. I'm going to sand a little more off of the corners. And if it's easier to do this with a little piece of sandpaper, sometimes I do just because I feel like I can control it better. It will look a little more worn on the edges. And that to me makes it look like if it's even more a part of the wood. And this is up to you. You can do this as much or as little as you want. But just kind of shabbying up. Do you see that corner? Just kind of shabby up those corners a little bit. I think he looks amazing. What do you think? Do you love him? Isn't he just the prettiest turkey? I think he is just amazing. He looks awesome. And how hard was that? So easy. So easy. Okay, so let's go ahead. Before I forget, let me kind of wipe off my area here. And I'm going to put the top coat on him. I don't want to forget. I'm going to go ahead and put the top coat on. One thing I want you to know about the top coat is it is helping us to seal the napkin, which is going to preserve our project, right? So it's protection. But it also is going to help your napkin to become even more translucent, okay? By putting that top coat on, it's going to make it look even more translucent. And that means this wood grain and everything is going to show through even more. So really important to make sure you get that top coat on. And again, if you feel like you get a little too much in those valleys, you can always come back later and go through that when it's dry and clean it out just with your craft knife. Beautiful. So he'll be kind of white. We're going to let him dry. So I'm going to scoot him over here out of the way. All right. What do you think about him? Sometimes your napkin wrinkles. Everybody, that's just going to happen. That tissue is so thin, y'all. A lot of times, if you have a ton of wrinkles, it may be that you need to kind of gently pat down a little bit more, or you're not quite being forceful enough with your pouncing, okay, with your natural bristle brush. You really need to get in there and push down all those wrinkles and crinkles, okay? So we're going to do the mini cutting board next. Yay! This one is just so darn cute. And this is what I'm going to be giving 3 lucky sprinklers. So if you haven't sprinkled yet, sprinkle again, or sprinkle for the first time, or sprinkle again. We're going to decorate this cute little mini cutting board. So we have a little bit of an issue with this, and I'm going to show you, because there are ways that you can get around everything when you napkinize. So I'm going to cut off one piece of this wheat napkin. And I just want to show you, and this time I'm not going to paint this at all. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to let some of this this blondish honey color kind of come through. It's going to be pretty because my napkin's not white. It has the green on it. It's going to look really pretty. But looky here, when I put this on, do you see how it doesn't cover my entire piece? It doesn't cover my entire cutting board, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take some of another portion of my napkin to cover in those areas. So let's go ahead and get this on first. Let me go ahead and separate this out. I think there's a little reunion happening in the store. Can y'all hear the customers out there? I'm back in the studio, but I can hear them coming in. Okay, so one technique that I taught in the Napkin Club is how we took our own, you can actually take your own recipes and use tracing paper, and you can actually incorporate and transfer things to wood just like you would a napkin. That is a really, really fun technique, and I actually did that on one of these little cutting boards, and I didn't bring it with me today. It's at my house. I should have brought it. I'll have to post a picture or something of it. So I have separated the napkin. I'm going to go ahead and put my nice healthy coat of Mod Podge on this little guy. And we're going to go ahead and cover the majority of it here. Now this is going to hang off just a bit, so just kind of center your wheat. Center your wheat on here. I'm going to pat it real gently, and then I'm going to get after it with my pouncing brush. And I mean, I'm really pushing, really, really pushing. That's what's going to help you girls with the wrinkles, okay? Just really, really push. It could be that you don't have quite enough Mod Podge on your surface as well. That could be it. Okay, so there's step one. I've got the napkin on him, okay? I'm going to dry him just a little bit. And I'm going to sand off this excess part. Okay, so I've sanded that off. And again, I kind of like it being a little bit shabbier around the corners, so I'm going to take a little bit off this end, a little bit off this edge, and this edge, and this edge. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start piecing some of the green part of the napkin onto this. okay? Just piecing it. It's all gonna kind of blend together, which is good. So I have like this little piece that I had sanded off. So if I want to, I can take this little portion, and you don't want to overlap it too much because you'll see a little bit of a variation in the color. So I'm going to bring it just kind of right close to the edge. And pounce that in there. And then I'm going to take another little portion of this napkin. Just the green part of this napkin. And I'm going to separate it. Got a little piece of wheat on there. Okay, so I'm going to take this portion. So it is okay to go in and patchwork these. All right. So I'm just kind of piecing in some extras just to cover up this whole part of the board. And it may be hard for y'all to see, but that honey color is coming through the green, and it is beautiful. It is very pretty. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you look right down here, do you see kind of this little honey kind of look? That's actually coming through from the cutting board. Isn't that cool? That's what's coming through. I think that just looks so good. So pretty. So there are certain times when you're going to napkinize something and you want that color coming through. So it's really, it's just kind of a personal choice. So let me go ahead now and sand this off. I think these cutting boards would look so cute with Christmas napkins and all the things. I do my kitchen at Christmas is all kind of baking and gingerbread, and so I'm definitely going to be doing some cute things with this. I put a tree up in my kitchen. I think these would even be cute little ornaments in my tree. I just think it's so darling. Okay, so what I have left to contend with is there is a hole right here now that's covered up, okay? So I'm gonna take this is just like a paper piercer. I'm going to just kind of basically break open that. And let me grab a little file here. I have some files. I like to use these a lot when I'm napkinizing. They're just little file tool, things, little file tools, because you can put them into things and then just sand. Or like even wood palette signs if you need to sand, into a crevice or something like that. And it just pulls that up completely. Okay, so again, it's going to be important on this one because we did some patchwork on it to go back in, and we're going to put that top coat on. We want to seal this completely. That's going to help those pieces that you kind of put on in places just to kind of blend together more. And it's also going to protect our napkin, protect our project. Now today I'm not doing something on the back side of this, but you totally could. You could do something completely different on the back side of your cutting board if you wanted to. That's up to you. Maybe even take some of the other bits and pieces of your napkins that are left over and create your own. So backside is going to be your choice. You get to do whatever you want to it. And then I'm going to help this Mod Podge dry just a little bit. If you ever want to help your Mod Podge dry, don't put the heat right down on it. treat it like you're kind of blow drying at it. Just let the air kind of go at it to let it dry. It's going to dry nice and clear. If you get the heat too close, it can kind of gum up, and it won't, I don't know, it just doesn't dry as well. It gets gummy. So cute. I love seeing that color come through. That just looks amazing. Okay, we're just about dry. All right, so to embellish him, I thought it would be kind of fun to, you know, these little guys, most of the time, little cutting boards, they had like a little hanger. So if you wanted to hang them on the wall, or you want to hang them on a tree, or you want to hang it off of, you know, wherever, a cheer tray. Like I have a little drawer here. I'm going to show y'all kind of my setup here in just a second. Just show you different ways that you can display. See, he's over here. So cute. Okay, so the little mini cutting boards came from Hobby Lobby. I think I saw somebody ask that in the fall section. And so be checking your Hobby Lobby out in the fall section for these. And I also was told by a customer that IKEA has some that are a little bit larger than this, okay? But cutting boards are kind of hot right now. Bread boards, cheese boards, cutting boards, they're pretty hot right now. They're everywhere. So you might not find one exactly like this. You might find a different shape. But they're pretty on trend right now. So I think you'll be able to find something. And who knows, maybe you even have, maybe you want your wheat on a little chunky canvas, or, you know, it doesn't have to be on the cutting board. It can be on whatever you want. So the next thing I'm going to do to this is I want to wrap it. I like the natural beads that are so popular right now. So I thought it would be kind of fun to add a couple of those. So I'm going to take some twine here. It's just like a baker's twine. Just kind of a natural and a white together. And I'm going to start by just using a little bit of hot glue here on the back. Just a little bit, just to put this down, just to kind of get myself started. So let me let that dry just a second. And then I'm going to start wrapping. And I'm wrapping it really tight and close together. I'm going to come down the edge here just a little bit. And you could do this as you know, as much or as little as you want. I just thought it was nice. It just adds, again, a nice little bit of texture. So I'll show you. Isn't that cute? Just kind of adds that nice little, again, little bit of texture there. Whenever you get done, you're going to use just a little bit of hot glue on the back. And then I'm going to nip it off. Okay, so it's going to look like that to start. Isn't that cute? So cute. Let me adjust this back down. There we go. Oh, more stars. Thank y'all. Every time I look up, there's more stars. So I have another little piece left over here. So I'm going to take this piece now, and I'm simply going to just put it wherever within, you know, the part that you wrapped here. And I'm going to tie it off in a knot to the side. Now I'm doing mine over on this side, but it doesn't matter. You could do it either, whatever side that you want. I'm going to hold it tightly with my finger and tie that off in a knot. Now if you wanted to do a bow here, you could. I decided not to because I have bows on everything else. So I'm just leaving it to hang just like that. And now I'm going to show you a fun little trick. Okay, sometimes it's hard to thread twine through these little natural beads, okay? But look what you can do. If you will take like just your craft glue, like your tacky glue, not your hot glue, like your tacky glue, and if you'll put just a little bit on the end, about ½ an inch or so, and just twist it up tight with your fingers. Okay, just twist it up tight with your fingers and then let it sit for a second. I'm going to do this in. What happens is it stiffens up almost like a needle. It stiffens up really nice and hard like a needle. And it dries really fast. This is a quick dry glue. And then you can actually just put this right through with no problem. Because a lot of times when you try to thread twine like this through, the twine wants to come apart and it doesn't want to stay put. And then I'm going to decide about how far down I want these to hang. And I'm just going to tie off a double knot. So there's one knot. And there's the second knot. Okay. And again, I'm going to cut a little bit below the knot because I'm going to unravel that. I like the little tassel look. And now I'm going to thread this one through. Just makes it so easy. And that goes for jute, anything that's hard to kind of feed through something else. I want these hanging a little bit. I don't want them hanging right next to each other. I want one to be a little bit longer than the other. Yeah, like right there. That's good. And look how cute that is. So cute and so easy. So think about this. What if this was a Christmas napkin, right? They make such cute little charms and trinkets and like all the little miniatures where the miniature Christmas trees are. They even make little miniature cookie cutters. I'm going to get a couple miniature cookie cutters to hang on mine. Little teeny ones, like little bitty teeny ones, almost like a charm. I think that would be so cute to hang off of a cutting board if it had Christmas on it. What do you think? You like it? Isn't it cute? So easy, and I just love the wheat. I mean, the wheat just screams Thanksgiving to me. I love it. Okay, so now these are, well, it's almost done. If you decide you want a hanger, all you have to do, this could be ribbon. I just used some jute, and I put some jute on this in case you want a little hanger coming off of it. Okay, so that's up to you if you decide you want to add that or not. Okay, all right, love the little mini cutting boards. Ah, they're so cute. So 3 of you lucky sprinklers are going to go home with those. So we'll choose those here in just a little bit after the live, and I'll post the winners because I know a lot of you have sprinkled. It'll take me a while to put everybody to randomly select. I'll have to throw you into a random generator. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on. You ready to move on? I'm so excited. Okay. And I've already seen a few of you have signed up for the Napkin Club. So congratulations. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're going to be joining us. That is incredible. That's awesome. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I will make sure that your Christmas bundles get shipped out to you on Monday. So if you sign up this weekend, I'll make sure they get shipped out on Monday. Okay, we're going to move on now, and I'm going to show you another painting technique, okay? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to take the cheesecake block, the block that we painted with cheesecake, and this white chunky canvas. This is just a white chunky canvas. It's already white. I'm just going to leave it alone just like that. And we're going to transform these into pumpkins. Okay, so let me show you how beautiful these turned out. I mean, look at that, y'all. Isn't that beautiful? And I used a wine cork for the stem and just some pretty foliage kind of stuff here at the top. We'll talk about that when we get ready to decorate them. I just absolutely love how these turned out. I made sure they look pretty on both sides. So this one is using the Thankful napkin, okay? And then this one, it might have seemed kind of ironic, but I don't know, it just worked for me. I used the little pumpkin napkin. So it's a pumpkin on a pumpkin. But I like how the colors look. I just think it looks so cute. And this is the back side. You can see this is the canvas. Now, I don't want this showing if I'm on a tier tray, like I want to cover this up. So I would probably just cut some cute scrapbook paper or something to cover this. Or if you have another embellishment, like we have these little wood pumpkins, I'll show them to you in a little bit, that could actually go on the back of this. Something just to kind of cover this up, okay? All right, so let's get started with the paint technique. I know you like all the techniques? Awesome. I'm so glad. That's what I'm here to show you. I want you to learn all this fun stuff. Okay. So this is what we're going to do first. This is using the craft paint, okay? Remember, we already have a base coat on these, and you do need a base coat on them. So we have the base coat on these, and I'm going to be using some baby wipes for this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and grab a baby wipe out. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple. And we're going to be doing what I call a wash. So I'm taking a clean paintbrush here, and I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of this paint. And in case you're curious about this color, it is Decor Americana, and it's called Spiced Pumpkin. But use whatever you have. I mean, if you have an orange paint already in your stash, just use what you have. But I like this. I kind of like this color. I thought it was pretty. All right, so I have squeezed out a little bit on my plate. And I'm going to stick my paintbrush in here. And I'm going to start off, let's just start off with this edge right here. I'm just going to kind of dry brush on some paint. All sides. I'll just do kind of these sides first, because we'll be kind of hard to hold it. So literally just dry brushing on some paint to start, okay? And now I'm going to grab my baby wipe, and I'm going to do what I'm going to call a wash. I'm just going to have it wadded up, and I'm going to start just pushing the paint and kind of washing. And what's going to happen is it's going to kind of, it's going to look kind of streaky. It's going to get into the wood grain. I don't know if you can see that okay. Okay, can you see that? I don't want it to glare because I don't want it to look too bright. And I'm just gonna continue to kind of wash. I want to get kind of one, this needs a little bit more paint on it. There we go, that's better. It's a little thicker paint. It should move really easily over the block. And it's okay if part of it is darker in some spots and lighter in some spots. And I'm just going to keep kind of just washing over. You can let some of the paint show through if you want to. Can you see how it's kind of streaky looking? Kind of streaky like that? Put a little more paint out here. If your baby wipe gets too filled up with paint, just start with another one. And I love how just the acrylic paint does so well over the chalk paint base. But it's going to grab it really, 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 really nicely. So feel free to just add a little extra until it looks, I don't know, until you're happy with it. I love seeing kind of the brush strokes and everything kind of coming through it. Okay, just creating that pretty wash. So I'm going to put this to the side, and I'm going to do the same thing to the little canvas. Now what's cool about canvas is instead of having like the wood grain, right, you've got the texture from the canvas. So it's like little bumps, little bumpy texture from the canvas. So again, same thing, I'm just going to kind of dry brush some on. I think I'm going to move on to a new baby wipe here. And I'm just going to start kind of washing over the canvas. And you can, again, you can kind of create some little streaks. I almost have enough on the baby wipe not to have to do more. Oh, hi, you scared me. I wasn't prepared to see a head pop through the door. Hello, Melissa. That's okay.
I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. Well, good to see you.
Good to see you too. I see you're always working away.
Yes, always working. Okay, so on the canvas, can you see how it gets a little streaky too? You can kind of have a little fun with it. Now on the canvas, you got to deal with these little corners right here. So sometimes I have to just kind of get my brush and get into those little corners where the canvas overlaps. And again, you can just kind of play around with it if you want to dry brush on a little more, a little less. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that one. Isn't that cute? Really simple, super, super simple. Okay, so let me move that paint out of the way. And now we're going to dry these. Clean my hands off a little bit. Because you just did it as a wash, it's actually going to dry really fast. And I would say probably the best advice I can give you on these washing techniques is just to do it fast. Because if you do it fast, you're not thinking. And it just kind of comes out the way it comes out. If you're thinking too much, it's like too even. And you really want it to feel a little bit more organic, okay? So just try to do it fast and don't think. Can you do that? That's hard sometimes for us, isn't it? All right, let's see. Okay, Mary, I think what you're talking about is the bundle, the Give Thanks bundle. Yes, that is on our site. And there, I think Kristen already posted a link to it somewhere in the comments, but if you can't find it, I'll post another link when this is over. So if you want to purchase the Give Thanks napkin bundle, it's $6. You could be creating all these wonderful things. That's what I'm featuring. Or from the Give Thanks mini bundle, which those are available to anyone. Those are available to anyone. You don't have to be in the Napkin Club to get those, okay? It's just to give you a taste of some of the things that we do, okay? All right, so now that I have my wash done, I'm going to use a product called Chalk Ink, okay? This is Chalk Ink. I like it because it's, again, it has a chalky texture to it. So it works really beautifully with the chalk paints, you know, with all just that finish. And it dries very fast, very, very fast. So I'm going to take this just straight from the applicator. These are by Quick Quotes. We have them on our website in all different colors, tons of different colors. And I'm going to add a little bit of dark around these edges. Okay? And it doesn't have to be like, you know, super heavy, but it also doesn't have to be super clean. Like here, I'm just going to kind of rub that in with my fingers. Do you see? So I'm just kind of adding, see this little bit of texture here, this little bit of color here. I'm just taking it straight from the pad. It's not super wet, just to add, and I'm actually going to do this on every corner. And then what's going to happen is when we napkinize this, it's going to show through our napkin. And then if we want to, we can even go back and add more on our napkin. You know what? I forgot to paint the back of this. I'm not going to do it right now, but if you want to paint the back of this, that way when you cover it up, it'll all look the same. Forgot about that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the wood block. So these are Quick Quotes chalk inks. You can use any kind of brown colors that you want. We have some really pretty, I mean, we have all the colors. We have several different types of browns. There's several different types of blacks and browns and grays and greens and every color under the sun, under the rainbow. And you, depending on how much you put, you can get a softer look or you can get a heavier look. I'm kind of going a little softer with this one. And I'm going around every corner, every edge. You can even go a little heavier on your front and back corners. Okay, so you can see that dark? Isn't that pretty? Looks so pretty on there. Okay, it looks really good. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to, like I said, it dries really fast, but I'm going to go ahead and just heat set it just to make sure it doesn't move around too much when I put the Mod Podge on it to napkinize, okay? I only have to do the front of this one because this one is only going to be napkinized on the front. This one's going to be napkinized on both sides. And if you wanted it to be even more dramatic, you can even use a black. Okay, all right. Yeah, doesn't it make it pop? It just gives it more dimension and just the shading. I mean, I love it. I love it. Everybody laughs up here and say that I need to have a t-shirt that says I'm a heavy inker. I am a heavy inker. So I do love ink. I think things kind of look naked without ink. Okay, let's start with the little guy. Let's start with the little pumpkin here. So obviously you can see he is on like this kind of cool distressed wood grain background, right? Almost kind of shiplap looking-ish. So what's going to happen, remember how I told you that the sheer part of the napkin, it's so sheer that the color is going to show through? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen with this napkin and the orange and the inking that we've just done. So let's work on this one first. So again, lick and stick. Take those napkin plies off. I have a big mountain of napkin plies over there. Okay, so it's going to be very, again, very, very sheer. All right. Let's see. Yeah, don't use pigment ink. Pigment ink is more permanent. It's going to just stay. It's not going to really move. So if you want to do this technique, I would suggest like a distress ink, or I really like the chalk inks because it's softer, it blends easier. I just think it looks really pretty. And I can also apply the chalk inks over the napkin after it's been napkinized, which I'm going to do on this one a little bit just so I can show you. And I really love how that looks because it just kind of stays, instead of trying to soak into the napkin, it just kind of stays where we want it to stay. So let's go ahead and napkinize this canvas that's going to become a pumpkin. Got to put some more Mod Podge in my bowl here. Again, a nice healthy coat just over the top. So stay away from pigment-based inks. Those are permanent pigment-based inks. We want chalk inks, distress inks, maybe distress oxides would be okay. Distress inks will move more with liquid than the chalk inks will. Okay. So I'm going to position my pumpkin on here, and you're going to have some of your pumpkins going to be kind of hanging off the edge, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm going to gently kind of press this down. You should start to see the orange almost immediately start coming through. And I'm going to pounce. Pounce, 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 pounce. Okay, you see that orange starting to come through there? Now, after I've pounced, I'm going to go ahead and dry the edges really fast, just kind of the edges here, because I want to sand them off before I do that top coat. But this top coat is going to make the napkin even more transparent. And I'm trying to be really light with this because I don't want to sand off too much of my inking. But if you do, it's okay. We can go back and put it on. We're going to go back and put some on anyway, so. Trying to just be a little bit lighter, a little lighter touch with it. Okay, so I have not done the top coat yet. Okay, just want to show you. See that orange is coming through, the inking's coming through. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to ink a little bit more on top of the napkin. You need to do this before you seal it, because once you seal it with the Mod Podge, there's nothing for this to grab to. It'll just wipe right back off, okay? I'll make sure you understand that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to ink it even just a little heavier around these corners and edges, and it's going to grab the paper from the napkin really, really well. Okay, isn't that pretty? And now I'm going to put the top coat on. So go ahead and look at it now. And then let's put the top coat on. And I'm not going to heat set it this time. I'm just going to put it on. And it's going to penetrate this napkin and it's going to make it look even more translucent as it dries. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Mod Podge over the tops too, because it kind of, I like how it does kind of, it'll protect the canvas. You know, canvas is still a cloth. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of seal the whole shebang. I can't. Okay, and I'm going to put this to the side. Now it's going to look really milky right now. It looks really, really milky right now. I'm going to put it to the side so it can be drying while we're working on this one. And then I'll show it to you as it dries how translucent and pretty it is. All right. I am using, let's see. Is this one the one that is, can we get this one still? Mocha Mama?
No, but a lot of the browns are sold out right now with our manufacturers.
Okay.
We're getting what we can in, so
okay.
particular color we don't have.
Okay. I used on this one, girls, I used mahogany. A Mocha Mama is a really close one too. And Kristen just told me that we have sold through a lot of our stock of our browns because of this workshop. We've sold through quite a bit, plus fall. I mean, we just selling through a lot of those. But we have another order that's on that has been placed and is coming. So if you can't find a brown that you like, just be patient. We'll have some more on there. Yeah, there's also one that I really like that is Tiki, I think. Amaretto is a beautiful brown, and it's got kind of an orange tinge to it. In fact, I probably should have used Amaretto because that would be really pretty for these. But there's lots of different browns. You can use whatever you want. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and keep moving on here because I wanna make sure that this starts drying while that's drying. I'm trying to stage everything out for you. So this particular napkin, I'm cutting it like this, okay? And I wanna show you, it's so close. It's so, so close. If you wanted to kind of go over the edges here, you would have just a tiny bit showing here at the top. I mean at the bottom, okay? So what I did to fix this is I went ahead and just cut this at the top because I'm gonna decorate the top anyway. It's gonna have so much going on at the top. I decided I would rather have a little bit missing at the top rather than at the bottom of the base of this block. Okay, so I'm gonna work with the block this time, okay? If you're curious like what my favorite browns are, I love Mocha Mama. I probably use it all the time. I use it the most, probably Mocha Mama. There's a new brown called Rocky Road that I really like. Love Amaretto is a good one for fall because it's an orangey brown. But those are probably my top three. I also like milk chocolate. Milk chocolate is a good one too. And if you like blacks and grays, I love Midnight Confession is my favorite black. And then Coal Miner is a really great gray. It's kind of a bluish gray. It's really pretty. Okay, so I want to show you what I'm doing here. I'm going to take this part of Thankful and I'm going to line this up right at the base of the block. Now look at Thankful. It's kind of big. So we're going to lose just a little bit of this swirl of the T is actually going to get wrapped around the side. This time I'm not going to sand off the sides. I'm going to wrap them. So I'm going to keep the sides this time. I want this to be wrapped all the way around this block. So, and this part will go at the top. So this is what I'm going to do first. I'm going to apply the Mod Podge only over the top of the block first. Okay, so I have my healthy coat over the top of the block. And now I'm just going to I'm going to really focus on the word down here. Exactly where that's going to go. Okay, and I'm going to very gently just kind of pat. And now I'm going to take my pouncing brush and I'm going to pounce again. And I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to wrap this. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to wrap this. Okay, so I want you to just see, I have the top edge up here, I have the sides here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out the corners, okay? And that means I'm going to basically just cut right here to the corner. Let me cut it and then I'll show you. And right here to the corner. I'm notching out the corner. So here's the corner of the block, right? I've notched out that corner. Okay, does that make sense? I don't want a bunch of bulk to have to overlap a bunch of bulk. So I'm just cutting away and notching out the corners. Okay, make sense? Okay, so I'm going to start with the top. I'm going to take my Mod Podge up here at the top, right here along the top of the block, right along that edge, and then I'm going to lay this portion down. Okay, pounce that down and it's going to look like that. Okay? All right, so I'm going to add some more Mod Podge now on the side. And I'm going to wrap the side here. Now they're going to be a little bit different on each side, and I'll show you how I'm going to fix that here in a minute when we do the other side. Okay, so see, just wrapped it around the side, and now I'm going to do this edge. I'm going to try to do it without getting it stuck to the table. Beautiful. So let's lay this side down. Okay, so what I really wanted you to see is that this side, you see how it didn't cover the whole thing, but we're going to fix that when we do the other side. So I'm going to go ahead now and dry this. See the orange coming through? Isn't that pretty? I love it. I have to dry it just enough to where I can handle it and I can turn it over to do the other side. Thank you for the hearts. I know, it's amazing. Napkin art is amazing. Y'all, I have been doing this for so many years and it never ceases to amaze me. Like I'm always just like, it's like a kid in a magic act or something. I just love it. I'm always so excited to see the result. Okay, let's make sure. Okay, that feels pretty good. You know what? I think I'm gonna put this plastic bag underneath it just in case. There we go. I don't want it to pick up anything else off the table. All right, we're going to do the same thing all over again to the top. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing now this way, but I'm not gonna wrap the edges all the way just yet. We'll talk about that when we get to it. I'm just gonna do this top portion first so I can show you how I deal with the overlap. The other thing, y'all, I'm just thinking about this with the Napkin Club. I don't think I mentioned it, but once you're in the Napkin Club, you have access to all of the workshops, not just workshops going forward. You have access to the workshops that I have already taught in there. I have our private group on Facebook set up for social learning. So it has a units tab, so everything is saved in that units tab. So you can always go back and watch things in the past that I've taught in the group as well. Okie dokie. So I'm gonna lay this right here on the top. So it's fun knowing that you have that whole little kind of personal library of all kinds of techniques and things. Because trust me, once the napkin bug hits you, once it bites you, you're hooked. You become a napkin addict, just like me. It's like our own support group, really. And it's just so much fun, and nothing will be safe from napkins once you start learning a lot of these techniques. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to notch out the corners again. So I'm just cutting right to the corner edge of the block. Notch out those corners. And I'm going to go ahead and do this top portion. So I'm going to show you that there is going to be a gap. But I don't want you to worry about it. There's going to be a little bit of a gap right there. But it's going to all get covered up. Okay, so we're going to talk about wrapping the side. So let's look at this side first. This side almost made it all the way around, like there's hardly any of that showing. But I like this kind of leaf action that's happening right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me get my little scissors. I'm going to take my little scissors and I'm going to kind of fussy cut around those leaves right there. And I'm going to cut away some of this excess. You could even tear it away if you want to. A torn edge would look kind of pretty. It's not going to matter. It's just going to kind of blend in anyway. Okay, so I kind of cut that. I have this little bit of edge right here. Okay. And now I'm going to put down my Mod Podge. Oops, 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 don't stick yet. Okay, and now I'm going to lay that down. Just going to use my brush to lay it down in place. Perfect. Okay, just kind of overlapped. I'm taking off a little bit of this extra Mod Podge because I want to ink this. Okay, so sometimes that's hard when you have to do the overlap because you have to put it on there to get it on. So once I have it on, I'm just taking a baby wipe and I'm kind of cleaning off that edge there just a bit. I got a little piece, take that off. And just kind of wiping away a little bit of that excess Mod Podge. Okay, same thing over here. I like this leaf kind of coming down. So I'm just going to kind of, not cutting right on him, I'm just kind of bubbling around him. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down so I can see. And I need to cut off some of this excess. Perfect. Okay, don't do like me. Dry your other side before you do this part. There we go. So I have that overlapped. And very gently, I'm just going to wipe away a little bit of that Mod Podge on the edge where he's overlapped. Okay, now we're going to dry. Oh, you found a globe. Awesome. I have a whole globe workshop, and that was actually posted as a gift to my customers, to all my I shouldn't say customers, they're my friends and family, my napkin family, in my napkin club. So that's another thing you'll have access to. And this month our bundle was Christmas napkins, all different Christmas napkins. But next month, okay, November is a Santa series. So all of the napkins are going to have to do with Santa. They're going to be different Santas. They're just adorable. It's beautiful. So sometimes in certain months we'll do a series, a special series, and that's what November will be for us. I have a globe that I did that has Santas all over it, and it says, "Here comes Santa Claus." It's really cute. Reindeer. Everything, it's adorable. Okay, I'm just drying this up pretty good because I want to add some more ink. I'm going to go ahead and show you now the canvas. Are you ready to see it? Look, it's completely done. Look how pretty all that comes through. I love it. It's dry to the touch, nice and clear. Looks awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my ink, and I do want to show y'all, like literally in the studio, we have like tons of these inks. So when I grabbed an ink earlier today, I like just grabbed one. You can grab whatever you want. I think I'm going to grab a black this time, just so that you can see the difference. This is the Midnight Confession. And again, it's up to me how heavy or light I want to put it on, but I want to show you on this. I do love the black. It's just more dramatic. Isn't that pretty? So if you like that kind of look, blacks, browns, even a gray would be pretty if you don't want it to be as strong as a black. But we have all kinds of colors. So I'm just taking this around all the edges just because I like it to be a little more pronounced. And you need to do this when? Before you seal it. Before you seal it, because if you seal it and you try to put the ink on, there's nothing for it to grab to. It's just going to wipe right off with the Mod Podge. It's kind of the whole point of sealing it. What do you think? Like it? You can go a little heavier in spots, just whatever you want to do. So I use those colors. All right, so now I'm going to use the Mod Podge again, and this is just going to be a quick top coat. This is going to protect everything I've just done, and it's going to make my napkin even more transparent. I'm going to do all sides except for the bottom so I can just stand it up to dry. Isn't it hard to believe that just a chunk of wood can turn into something so pretty? Love it. Okay, so I'm going to sit this up and just kind of angle it down. All right, last spot will be right here over the top. Okay, so we're gonna let that one dry. So I think what I'd like to do is I'm gonna let these dry for a second, and I'm gonna move on to the pumpkin. And then once these are dry, we'll embellish the tops of them. So while I have my Mod Podge out, everything's ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the pumpkin while those are drying. I like to kind of stage my projects in workshops because, you know, you kind of, I don't know, it makes sense to be doing something else while something's drying and all those things. Okay, does that sound good? Yeah, it's so pretty. Okay, so we're gonna go to the pumpkin. Just in case you just signed on, this pumpkin started out orange, okay? Started out orange, and now we have gone over it with some of the cheesecake paint. It is so pretty, but I love some of the orange kind of showing through. I think it looks really kind of, I keep getting a glare, sorry about that. I don't know if you can tell it without the glare. But I think it looks really good. So I'm gonna raise up this stuff that's on this pumpkin. This pumpkin happened to come with this. And this time I'm gonna actually use the heart napkin, but I'm not gonna use it as a heart, okay? I'm gonna cut pieces out of this napkin because that's something else that I love to do with napkins is to kind of take pieces of them and collage them. Okay, so I'm going to take, I'm trying to remember how many it took me on the first pumpkin. I'm going to show it to you here. So what I'm going to do is I have all these little pieces. I'm actually going to cut them into sections, and I'm going to Mod Podge them on my pumpkin coming down. So they look like they're all kind of coming down from the stem. Isn't that cute? And that's all I did on this one, girls, is just decoupage some of the pieces on here, and then I added a cute little bow, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. How many of you did the Halloween workshop with me? Right? And we used words. We did a Halloween pumpkin and we put words all over the pumpkin. I think that one turned out so cute, and it was so fun and easy to do. So this time, instead of words, we're going to be using just this pretty pine cone and twig kind of foliage from here. So I'm going to just kind of start cutting out some pieces. So you don't always have to use the napkin just like it looks. You can use it however you want. And I'm just starting to cut out like little pieces like that. Okay, really super simple. Separate your napkin and then just start kind of cutting them into little sections. They don't all have to look the same. Yes, it's just an artificial pumpkin, just like a styrofoam pumpkin. You might even have some at your house right now that you want to, you know, fuss up or decorate. You can find them just about anywhere right now. I've even seen some at the dollar store, at dollar stores, Walmart, of course, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, you know, anywhere that sells fall decor. Or you might have some in your stash that you just want to play around with this technique. So I'm cutting several different ones off of this. And again, notice I'm not really thinking. Don't think, don't think, don't think. Just start cutting because you want it to look kind of organic. And the white part of your napkin is all going to disappear anyway. It's going to melt away. Okay, so that gives me a few to get started with. And then if I need to cut some more, I will. So I'm pulling all this stuff up. I want to leave this on, but it's wired, so I'm just pulling it up. Not all pumpkins have this. This one just happened to have it. And I'm going to start with my Mod Podge right here, kind of coming down from the top. Just kind of do a little area. And then I'm going to take one of my napkin pieces and I'm just going to lay it in place. Now, because this napkin has grooves, it's not flat, okay? It's not like a flat surface like wood or a canvas. It's got all these curves. So this is really what I recommend is you're going to just very, very lightly, instead of pouncing with the bigger brush, you can kind of go ahead and just use your actual Mod Podge brush to gently kind of pounce. And what happens is it's helping it to conform, and then go ahead and put the top coat on, because the top coat is helping it again to kind of stretch and conform to the curved surface of the pumpkin. Okay, I'm just going to start putting them on all around. So I'm not going to pounce this one. If I pounce this one, what happens sometimes is it will tear, okay? And I really don't want that to happen. I just want it to conform to the pumpkin. And I'm just going to kind of skip some space. They don't all have to come right up at the top. Oops, that'd be a little too close. Let's move this one over a little bit. There we go. So that it has a little bit of space kind of in between. And then just really gently, be very gentle. If you're heavy-handed, you got to really remind yourself to be gentle, because if you put too much pressure on this brush, it will tear the napkin, okay? So just be really cautious about that. Hello, hello. Remember, I know this is a long session because it's a lot of projects, so if you have to pop off, don't worry, this will be saved so that you can watch the replay at any time. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, just kind of pounce gently with my Mod Podge brush, and then very lightly just smooth over it. And I'm just going to keep working my way around the pumpkin. These little pumpkins are so cute, and they're so easy to do because they're everywhere. It's very easy to find them. This is something you could even do with your kiddos or your grandkids. Just fun. Covering them with all kinds of leaves or whatever you want to do. I just thought this was cute, like kind of making it look like it was all coming down from the stem. So pretty. Different shapes or different sizes, and these would look great on your tiered trays for those of you that like to do tiered trays. And you can add more. You can, if you need to cut from another piece of a napkin, you can just keep adding more. I'm almost done. I think I'm just going to do this many. I think I'm going to have just the right amount, actually.
I don't have any more of this type of block. I have some of the, like this. These are smaller. Our next round of these are coming next. One more coming. Yeah, she might have just finished.
So cute. So do you see what I've done? I just kind of went around. You can add more if you want to add more, less if you want to add less. And then literally, girls, all I did was add the cute bow. That's it. This has it already had the leaf and this cute thing, but you could add more leaves if you want to. Let me go ahead and show you the finished one again. Super easy. And I've had several people ask me about this ribbon. This ribbon I got at Joann's. Isn't it cute? So I just did a cute little double bow. Cut the tails kind of cute. And then when it's dry, that's what it looks like. And I do recommend doing a top coat over the whole entire pumpkin. Okay, before you put your bow on and all that stuff. Just do it over the whole pumpkin. That way it's all completely the same. You don't see any stop starts. But isn't that pretty? You just keep adding as much as you want. I love it. What do I recommend as a substitute for the cutting board? I would recommend, I mean, it could be really anything. It could be another canvas. It could be another little wood palette sign. There's lots of things. I mean, any kind of surface. Any kind of surface. It could be paper mache. Gosh, anything. Anything. Hopefully, you'll win it because I'm giving away 3 to everybody that sprinkles, okay? Because you can napkinize anything. Just really fun. Okay, we're going to go back now to our pumpkins right here. And I want to show you how I'm embellishing them. They're super easy, super fun. I'm going to show you how I'm embellishing them. And then I'm going to turn the camera around and show you kind of my little setup here with my levels. And just give you another idea of how you could decorate with these little small things if you don't have a tiered tray. Just by using just ordinary things that you could create different levels with, okay? You shared, Linda? Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl, for sprinkling. Thank you, Robin. Oh, yeah, like little wooden tags. Ursula, that's a great idea. There are so many different little surfaces out there. Take a trip to the dollar store and just look. I mean, there might be something there. Take a trip to Walmart and look around. There might be something there. Just, you know, just go check it out. There's all kinds of things. Your eyes will be opening in a whole new way because you're going to be looking at things and be like, ooh, I could put napkins on that or that or that. One thing we're really going to focus on coming up in November in the Napkin Club is ornaments. We're going to be doing lots of fun things with ornaments and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so let's talk about finishing our pumpkins. We want to make this canvas and this block actually look like a pumpkin. And how we need to do that is I think, of course, a pumpkin needs to have a stem, right? It needs to have a stem. And what I'm using for that are going to be wine corks. I love to craft with wine corks, and it's so funny because I actually don't drink wine. But anybody I know that drinks wine, I'm like, save me your corks, save me your corks. We actually have a ton of them. And we have them up here for sale at the Blue House if anybody just needs some. Super easy. My fingers are all orange from the paint. So I'm going to use some hot glue. The very first thing I'm going to do is add these stems. So, and you're going to use quite the blob of hot glue. For whatever reason, corks sometimes can really grab and soak up the hot glue. And then I'm going to kind of push it around and then blob it. So you're going to wind up with a little bit of a blob of a ring of hot glue kind of going around it. Okay? And that's okay. Corks need a little extra glue. They have a tendency, I don't know, if it's just like a dot, it's not going to hold. It's going to need quite a bit of extra glue. Look how pretty, y'all. Isn't that gorgeous with the wash and the ink? Oh, so pretty. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze this down. I love the texture of the cork and the fact that they have writing on them. Just so cute to repurpose them as pumpkin stems. Okay, so I have that done. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a double bow to each of these. And I know some people like to add the bows last, but I actually sometimes will put the bows on first because it gives somewhere for the other stuff that I'm going to add in. It kind of gives it somewhere to kind of lean next to or push up next to. So let's see, I'm going to take about, I'm going to say about 18 inches-ish, maybe 15. I think it's about 18. 18 inches, 2 pieces of jute. And this is the 3-ply. Okay, and I'm going to just create myself a double bow. So I'm making a loop. I'm going to knot over and pull through. I'm just making a loop. I want this one to have the chunky middle. So instead of looping like we did before and tying it off with the twine, I'm just tying it off in a regular bow. Nice, pretty, big, loopy bow. Just by doing 2 of them at the same time. And I'm going to go ahead, before I put the bow on, I'm going to go ahead and tie the little knots in the tails. Aw, somebody's not happy out there. Okay, so I've tied some little knots in the tails. Okay, and I'm going to put a nice little healthy blob of hot glue down kind of at the base of the cork. And just hold that on there for a second. All right, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on this one, but probably not quite as big since this one's a little bit smaller. So I don't need it to be quite as big. Okay, so again, just a little bit smaller this time. You can kind of fluff out your bow however you want it to be. I'm going to tie knots in the tails again. Aw, can y'all hear that? Do you hear the little one? She's not learned to like crafts yet. Okay, just tying these little knots. And again, I'm going to put a nice little blob of hot glue in front of the cork and glue this on. Okay, they're already cute just like that, but I want to add some more stuff to them. Okay, so here's what I'm going to be adding to mine. I found these burlap leaves at Walmart. Okay, it was like a whole pack of them for $1 something, very inexpensive. And it had different colors. They had like this pretty red. They had a natural burlap. They had a really pretty like rusty orange. And I love these. But these are way too big for my pumpkins, right? So I just wanted to show you that it is totally okay to actually take your bigger leaves and just cut them down to the size that you need them to be. So I'm just going to kind of play around here. And I'm going to cut these guys down just a little bit so that I get a smaller leaf, okay? Just cutting them down. And to see how they have this nice little stem on here, I'm going to take the end of, here, I'll take the end of this file, and I'm just going to twist. So it could be like the end of your paintbrush if you want to. And it helps give me this cute little curly Q. That cute, can y'all see it? So cute. So these have wire on them, which makes them nice because now I can come in and add another little glue stick here. So I'm going to add a nice little blob of hot glue. I've kind of shaped this. I'm kind of like, I want him to be kind of scrunched up. And I'm going to push him right down into this hot glue. Okay, can you see that? So I kind of scrunched him up and pushed him right down into that hot glue. And I'm going to do the same thing now with this burlap one. Oh, this burlap one has, is it two? Must be stuck on there from another side. All right, okay, well, oh, there it is. Okay, it was just stuck. So again, I'm going to cut this down. Just a leaf shape. I'm going to twist around the top. I like the little curly cues. And again, I found these at Walmart in a pack, one pack, and it had like, I don't know, it was a lot of leaves inside. But you could use silk leaves if you want to, whatever you've got, whatever you have in your stash. And again, I'm going to kind of scrunch them up a little bit. So I have a couple leaves kind of scrunched in there, really cute. And then I'm going to add just some fun, I don't know, I found these and I thought this was pretty. I found these at Hobby Lobby. I just kind of liked the green in them. So I'm going to add one of these. Let me cut it down a little bit shorter. But I think it looks kind of pretty against this red, and it's wired also. Isn't that cute? Just like that, just kind of add in, I like that little bit of green in there. And then I also am always love like little berry kind of cluster kind of things. You know, like this kind of stuff. You can find this stuff in the floral department, anywhere where all the flowers and all that kind of stuff are. And then I'm just going to add in some of this just for added texture. Just going to load it up with some hot glue here. Woo, that was hot. Let me hold that in there just a second. I have this pretty gold. I think this one's really pretty. So just gonna kind of put some of these in just for added texture with my leaves. You can cut them apart however you want. Okay, isn't it cute? So you just kind of start filling it in, just filling in wherever you want to add. And I just think it really adds to the look of the pumpkin. I think it's really, really cute and pretty. Now, keep in mind, you want these to look pretty on both sides, right? So again, on this guy, I forgot to paint the back of him, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. I went ahead and painted the back of him earlier. My plan is to just cut a piece of paper, like a cute piece of fall paper from a scrapbook paper or something like that, just to cover this up. Or there might even be a cute little saying that you want to print out or put to cover this up. But notice what I did is I actually tucked in one more bow, another double bow on the other side, just so it looks nice and finished. I did the same thing on this one. Okay, so see, again, you can see my burlap leaves, my little berries, the greenery, and I'm going to turn them around on the other side. Same thing, I added it on the other side as well. The only thing I haven't added yet is something fun like acorns, right? If you have acorns, you could put acorns in there. If you don't have acorns, I know these are out right now in the Christmas section. There are lots of them, and they're just little bitty teeny pine cones. Aren't they cute? Just little bitty teeny pine cones. So I definitely want to add in a couple little pine cones in here. There we go. Just put a little blob of hot glue on them, and you can stick them in wherever you want, wherever you feel like you have a little bit of a hole. Okay? Isn't it cute? I think it's just absolutely precious, and that's exactly how I would finish out both of the pumpkins. So I would just add the double bow, both sides, fill in, this just have the 2 burlap leaves, and then just filled in with kind of the berries, the greenery, the little pine cones, whatever you want. And if you don't want to use jute, you could use any kind of ribbon. You could use anything that's pretty. And then again, to get rid of all the glue hairs, you just pop it with your heat tool. And they just disappear. So easy. What do you think? Tell me if you like the pumpkins. Yeah, it's so fun. It's just so fun and easy. And I think they look amazing. I really, really am pleased with them. Aren't they cute as pumpkins?